And Maxim number 105. There's around 200 of these. This was midpoint, but it's really foundational, and it helps you kind of like balance out, especially when you're looking at Twitter or media, especially when it comes to men and women. Maxim number 105: frequency and absurdity of female delusions about their romantic worth are directly proportional to real-world evidence of their romantic worthlessness. You will find the most unattractive or semi-attract, or for lack of a better word, your standard 5 where they're not attractive at all or overweight, girls that are not high on the attractiveness scale are usually the most vehement supporters of equality. Like Bunny and I say, who bitches about men DMing them on Facebook is girls that want confirmation, and they want women to know that they're still attractive, and they want men to know that they're single. And that's how that works. It's kind of like the classic case. I'm going to pull this. Prepare yourself before you see this woman, and you'll see the oldest and the longest objection to pornography, which is Andrea Dworkin. And she was a 250, 300 pound white woman who was very difficult to look at. But since like the 80s, and this was the very first exposure I ever had to, women against men. She was against pornography and men's rights. But you look at her and nothing has ever worked in her favor. And I think there's even an analogy or a rule where women in media will only advocate for things that give a person just like herself an advantage. If it's an unattractive woman, she's going to work against men and attractive women. And if you're overweight, you're looking for, what do they call it? Body acceptance, that sort of thing. So, whatever is in their favor, which would make sense, they're going to use it. And this is a classic female against pornography physiognomy. So anytime frequency and absurdity of female delusions, and Bunny and I, and this was a couple years ago, and a woman that I know, not attractive and older, and was ranting about how for a guy, if he wants to sleep with her, he's going to have to date her for months, maybe a year, and do this and that. And it's all delusional. No man is going to actually stick around. It's a nice thought. It's a fun fantasy. And maybe, it's like guys thinking about interrupting an active shooter. For women, that they would make a high value man wait, is comforting, when of course in reality it's nothing like that.
She's a slow burn.
She's a slow burn was the phrase, and you're like, what? I mean, it's truly delusional. But they're so delusional, they kind of it's almost like a schizophrenic. You're like, where they start seeing meanings in billboards, that sort of thing. You're like, does she really believe this? So if you see me looking off, that's where Bunny is. So not talking to the camera. But it is directly proportional to their real world evidence of their romantic work. It's just like Twitter. You don't see cute, busy, wealthy, stay-at-home moms complaining about the red pill on Twitter. You find single girls that just have too much free time, very average girls. You don't find mostly girls without a boyfriend, or a husband or a rudder. But generally you will not see attractive, affluent, busy moms complaining about game or the red pill. It's really, the exact opposite. So just Maxim 105 it gives you a filter to filter through the delusional statements of women Frequency and absurdity of female delusions about their romantic value are directly proportional to their real world evidence of their romantic value. Again, the less value they have, the more they're going to pump themselves. That's why you do find post-wall women, as they get older, you think that they would lower their standards, but they show up with a 354-point bullet list of requirements. But make no mistake, you can ignore that list. It has nothing to do with reality, and they too will ignore it should you show up and have game. So, and it all goes out the window. And sometimes they can be quite charming. They just were kind of protecting their brain from the reality of their situation. And that's the real deal with Maxim number 105. My tweets today, unfortunately, don't